Today we're going to look at 3 progressively more disturbing stories.
Oh my god, turn that off. Turn it down.
Yeah. But before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you come to the right channel because that's all we do, and we upload 3 or 4 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please build the like button's confidence way up and tell them to run for student body president. Help them hand out flyers, help them with their speech, and then when the big day comes, don't vote for them. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories. There are 3 waterfalls spanning the Canadian-USA border that combined make up the famous Niagara Falls. They have a max height of about 170
best player in the game.
And every second, 700,000 gallons of water tumbles over the edge.
Give me a reset.
Above the falls are some of the strongest and most violent in the world, with a max speed of about 40 miles per hour right before you hit the edge. As a result, no one's allowed to boat or swim in the final 3.2 miles of the Niagara
Okay, you know what?
River
I'm restarting training.
into the falls. But back in the day, there was no such restriction. On the evening of July 16th,
What are you doing, Alex?
3 men were working on a small barge anchored in the Niagara River about a half-mile away from the edge of the falls. Once they were done with work, the way they would get back to shore is by taking a rope.
Literally, these were ceiling shots, and I turned them into air dribbles.
Island that sits right on the edge of the falls. Now, in order to get to that island, you would have to traverse the
They all work for
but
it.
it was only a couple hundred feet away, and because they worked here all the time, they had traversed the rapids many times before without incident. But this time, as soon as they got in, one of their oars broke, and so they weren't able to control their boat, and very quickly they got dragged into the rapids, started getting spun around, and then it capsized. Although they desperately tried to
I want to hit a musty so bad, bro.
too strong, and 2 of the men were
Like, I want to do it so bad.
One man, Joseph Avery, was lucky enough that when he fell in, he drifted down and grabbed onto this tree root that was sticking out of the water. And so he pulled himself about halfway up out of the water, he caught his breath, and he's looking around, and he can't believe he survived, but he wasn't out of the water yet. So
Oh my god, I lagged through the ball. Literally, I lagged through the ball.
nobody on shore. It was getting late. His 2 buddies had drowned, and when he yelled out, the rapids were so loud nobody could hear him. And the log he was holding onto was totally slick, so he had to grip it as hard as he could. Otherwise, he would just slip back into the water. And so all night, with half of his body in the water, he gripped onto this branch as tight as he could and just prayed he would survive. The next morning, when tourists arrived, they noticed Joseph out on this log, and they waved to him. And Joseph, who had used all his strength just to hold onto this log all night, was not only fatigued, but also was becoming hypothermic. And he very carefully removed one hand and he waved back. The tourists immediately notified authorities, and a rescue effort was launched. And because it was too dangerous to take a boat and try to drive down to Avery and pull him out that way, because he was right near the edge of the falls, what they did is they went up this little bridge that was upstream of Joseph, and they released rafts and small boats, hoping that one of them, just by chance, would get caught up on that log and he could grab it, and then Joseph could climb in, throw the rope out, and get pulled.
Yeah, guys, this is how I warm up in air dribbling.
Nothing came.
This is how.
Their next plan was to tie
This is how I am so good.
one boat and then guide it down the river until it reached.
I just practice all the time.
But when Joseph climbed into the boat, it immediately began to capsize. And witnesses would say Joseph stood up,
Come on.
and as he was falling backwards, he threw his hands up in the air like he was surrendering. He let out a final scream and then fell under the current.
Mom, look at this, look at this, look at this.
Here is the final.
Look at this.
It was taken by a journalist right before that boat with the tether attached to it.
Oh my. I am so fudgerican good.
Chad Lawhorn woke up in his Nashville home around 3 a.m. on April 8th.
Okay, what is this, my guy?
He had taken a long flight back from San Francisco the night before, so his sleep schedule was all messed up. Not feeling very tired, he decided to go downstairs to the kitchen to get a snack. And as he was walking down the stairs, he pulled out his phone and he saw a notification from his Venmo account. His younger brother, Casey, had sent him $250, and attached to it was a single-word note. It just said, damages. Knowing his brother had long struggled with his mental health, Chad was concerned he was getting ready to hurt himself, and he had sent him this money as a way to compensate for the emotional toll he was about to inflict on him. Chad didn't even change out of his pajamas. He grabbed his keys, hopped in his car, and began driving him 2 hours to East Ridge, Tennessee, where his younger brother and his mother lived. On the ride there, he called both of them dozens of times, but he never got through. When he finally pulled onto their street, he looked down the road and he saw dozens of police cars and TV crews, and there was yellow crime scene tape all around their property. Chad just stopped the car right in the middle of the road and just stared. And he didn't know how long he was there for, but at some point one of the police officers noticed him and walked up and knocked on his window. And when the officer found out who he was talking to, the news Chad was delivered was far worse than anything he was expecting. 24 hours earlier, Chad's younger brother, Casey, who was 23, was spending the day with one of his very
Bro,
good
can I
friends.
just hit a musty,
They'd
bro?
gone to a comic book store
So I
to
can
play
go
Magic
to bed.
Gathering, and then afterwards they headed
Said I would
back
hit a
to
musty
his
before I went to bed,
Around
and
12:30 in the morning, Avery fell asleep.
why is it
on the
just
floor,
so hard?
and as Casey was getting ready to go to bed himself, his mother called him and asked if he could come pick her up at the bar. And so Casey begrudgingly agreed to do it.
Well,
He
you
drove to
shouldn't
pick
even
her
have
up,
attempted
and when he saw
that.
her, he could tell she was totally intoxicated, and the entire ride
Like,
home, she
bro,
just
can I
pleaded with
just
Casey
hit
not to hurt himself
the easiest
because
shot in the
it would totally
game?
devastate her if he did that. Casey hated when she talked to him that way.
I'm just so bad.
When they got back to
Come
the
on!
house, Casey
Dang
dropped
it.
his mom off, and then he went up to his bedroom where he
Come on.
retrieved a rifle he had stolen from a friend. And then he paced around his room
Jump
for
to
a
the
while,
ceiling.
getting
Good, 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 good,
prepared
good, good.
for what he was about to
Go, go.
do. And when he felt ready, he left his
Trash.
room, went downstairs to the living room where Avery was still asleep on the ground, and he placed the rifle up against the side of his head, and he fired one shot, killing his friend instantly. Once he was dead, Casey went upstairs to his mother's room. When he got to the threshold of her room, he pushed the door open, and it was totally dark, but he could tell his mother was still awake in her bed. He raised his rifle,
Fake the
fired,
ceiling?
and didn't go off the jam. His mother, because she was so intoxicated, did not hear the shot ring out.
Look,
She didn't
look.
really know what her son was doing.
Look,
in the
200.
hallway, so
Okay,
she
never
did
mind.
not raise any alarms. And so Casey just turned around, walked into the hallway where there was light. He fixed the jam in his gun. He turned back around, and this time his mother was now out of bed because the family dog was barking like mad. And so his mother was trying to calm the dog down, and then she looked up and saw her
No,
son
that would have
standing
been
in the
good,
doorway
actually.
carrying the gun. And so she just kind of froze and stared at him, and that's when Casey, without
That
any
sucked.
hesitation, raises his rifle and fires two shots, and then his gun jams again. Now, neither of those two shots were fatal, although one of them did strike her in the arm. And even though she was intoxicated, she was now fully aware her son was trying to kill her. And she's screaming at him, "Why are you doing this? You're killing me!" Casey was totally unfazed. He flipped on the lights, he fixed the jam, he re-aimed at his mother, and his mother, who was still just standing next to
Bro,
the bed,
I'm just
looking at his
so
son, wondering why this
bad.
Casey just aimed and
This
took two
happens
shots.
to me all the time.
After
Like,
that, he
look.
went downstairs and robbed
So,
Avery, and then
did
hopped
you
in his
hear
car, and he drove all the way
before
to
when
Mississippi,
Aiden was like,
where
when
within
I said
24
damn
hours,
it, and
he
then the
would take
TV
his
said
own
damn
life.
it?
We know all of these details
Okay.
because
I went
shortly
in there
after
and
he
flipped
committed
the
his
light
crimes,
on
Casey
in the
posted a
bathroom, and he
lengthy
said,
confession
"Flip the
to
light
Facebook,
on." Do you know
detailing
that stuff
exactly what
happens
happened
to me
and what he did. This is a
so
screenshot
much,
of the
I
actual
started writing
post.
it down.
It's extremely graphic, and it's since been removed from the social media.
What happened,
In
Mom?
this post, Casey says he feels extremely bad for his older brother Chad.
Mom, what'd you say?
Nothing.
It's really hard for him, and he
What happened?
people to help his brother
It's too
during this
hard to
insanely
explain.
difficult time. While he doesn't provide a specific motive for why he committed his crime,
Just tell me, what'd you say?
at the end
Just,
of this confession,
I can't, it's too much, yeah, coincidences all the
wanted to
time.
know how it felt.
Okay, what's so special about that?
Yeah, like I said, I don't feel like explaining it. Ooh, meaty faves? Where? Oh, made from plants? Come on.
If that was disrespectful, my bad.
What are we talking about right now? Find and meat.
Oh my god, I'm so bad, bro. Like,
In 1996, 28
I'm the worst musty flicker in the game.
Born and raised in a valley full of place, first ever
I'm so bad.
face of the highest peak in the world, Mount Everest. He left school after the 10th grade and joined the highly competitive and prestigious Indo-Tibetan Border Police.
I'm just so dog, bro.
Their domineering neighbor, China,
Yeah, Daddy.
specialized in high altitude landscapes. They had to, given that the boundary between India and China ran through the very rugged
I'm just so AIDS, bro. I could hit a pen, dude.
very well liked by his peers, making him an obvious candidate for one of the border police's most ambitious missions to date. While Paljor's mother was full of pride in her son's work and accomplishments, he didn't think she would be very supportive.
Fake it. You know, let me just
So he told her he was planning a different
stop messing around with this trash game, my guy. Let me just stop messing around with this trash game, my guy.
Paljor was not about to change.
Give me it. Ah, it sucked.
Alex, you're gonna have to move your car, dude. You're gonna have to move it.
When are you gonna go do the clothes?
I have to go get them right now.
men seemed to be having an excellent time, but their luck would not hold. The team's final assault on New York base was
Guys, I'm a.
marked by mistakes, bad decisions.
Come on. Did I get the ceiling? Well, I'll fuck that out.
Report under a sense, those problems
You know what? I'm just gonna go for a good air dribble, bro.
Al-Jor and the other three climbers, instead of leaving base camp,
I'm gonna try to get a good, really good freestyle.
they didn't leave until 8 a.m., so 4.5 hours later. Making matters worse, the weather continued to deteriorate with a blizzard moving in, creating near zero visibility. But even under the best of circumstances, Mount Everest is still a force of nature. The summit will be covered in colorful roasts, flags, climbers with their high-tech, shiny, beautiful gear, accompanied by a small army of Sherpas. But the outward appearance of commercialization is deceptive. Since 1924, at least 300 people have
Can I get a job at like a car dealership?
You can. Oh, my dad got a job at Riker, and he had never sold a car in his life, and he was their top truck salesman the first month he was there.
Because literally, while you're up
Hey,
there,
so he was a little Daniel LaRusso. No, it's not, dude. The guy who sold me my car was 22. He had been there a year.
Aaron?
Yeah, Aaron. Yeah.
conditions are so severe.
You can do whatever you want. Yeah, bro.
22?
Yes. He went to Groveport. Like when he told me the year he graduated, I was like, oh damn.
He looks like he's like 34.
I know.
He's
so cute. He's 22.
I know. It's crazy. You're gonna have
I
to
will.
move your car.
Alright,
I don't know what I'm gonna do, dude. I'm like literally stressed.
Well, good. Stress leaves the change. Find a car or find a job.
I'm working. Oh my god.
Good luck. Love you, dude.
The climbers was with Al-Jor, was the commander. And so at 3 p.m., when they were supposed to stop and turn around, he was at the very back of the climbing staff. So he stopped and he yelled up at Al-Jor and the others and tried to get them to stop too so they could go back down. But either they didn't hear him or they just ignored him. Already suffering from frostbite and totally exhausted, he could not go any farther, so he grabbed his radio and he tried to hail them to tell them to stop and come back, but they didn't pick up their radio. And so the commander, after waiting for a few minutes, knew he had to go back down. So he turned and began the descent. About 30 minutes later, the commander's radio crackled on again, and it was Al-Jor and the others. And they were informing him that they were going to make a push for the summit. They were about an hour away. And the commander said, stop, turn around, I'm ordering you to come back down. The weather is only getting worse. But whether they were suffering from summit fever or overconfidence, we don't know. But regardless, they refused. Frustrated and terrified by the climbers, the commander just continued down the mountain. But 2.5 hours later, his radio crackled again, and this time it was Al-Jor and the others saying they had made it. They were standing on the summit of the heavens. The men had not just set a record for India, they had brought immeasurable honor to their country. The news sparked a huge celebration down in the base camp and also in the city of Leh, which is where the border police were located. But the party atmosphere would not last long. Shortly after the victory call, the weather turned from bad to horrible.
cold. God, it's freezing. Oh, God.
What's wrong?
It's cold. Way to go, dipshit. Oh.
If you would have been being
Don't
hyper and
you dare
aggressive.
even try to blame that on me. Trying to find a way
I have
to
my keys so I can lock my door.
I can say that.
aim to this.
No, Mom,
Lower
look,
your
he was
fucking
trying to
voice.
fight me and then I ran.
I fake hit Aiden, then he dipped out and tried to blame it on me.
I will kill you.
I can fix it.
Do you know that this is $275?
Well, tell him to stop doing
and
too much.
And my receipt to get a new one is in the storage unit. Why would you do this?
I was trying to run from him because
Go
he was
lock
trying
my
to hit
car.
me.
God dang it! If you don't shut your mouth, go lock my doors.
I don't have
Why
keys
are
on.
you doing this?
He tried to hit me and I tried to run.
So what? Watch what you're doing.
I don't know.
God dang, dude! You break my flat iron, I swear to God, I'm gonna kick your ass.
I need to Matthew. Give me my computer.
No. No way.
I swear to God, you break my shit and your whole world.
Well, but it wasn't my fault.
Yes, it was.
Watch what you're doing. Care more about me, just like you left me in the dark garage with no phone and no keys, nothing to turn a light on or anything. I had to stumble around in the dark to leave because you didn't make sure I had my keys to make sure that any light was on, because you cared more about yourself than to come out and make sure that I could get in, okay?
I thought you could get in by yourself.
You didn't bother to check. Where are my keys? Give me my keys! God dang, I want to fucking kill you. I just want to put my hands around your throat and choke you out. Look, you put your shoes where they don't belong so I can't open the door. Aiden, I am so sick of you right now, I can't even see straight.
Wait.
God. I swear to God, if you would have broke my flat iron, I'd have taken that PlayStation outside and smashed it on the ground. I promise you that. You would never have that PlayStation another day in your whole life until you worked and bought a new one. You break my flat iron, you break something
Hey,
like
I'm sorry. I didn't even mean to.
Because you're not paying attention.
I shouldn't have to pay
You care
attention for
more
things
about you
annoying.
care more about what you're doing than anything around you. I swear to God, you break my flat iron, you will pay a hell of a lot more than $275. I promise you that.
Is it broken?
Oh no, you're very lucky that it's not.
Oh, we can drop it.
How about I'm sorry? You never once said you were sorry.
Fine, I'm sorry.
Aiden, shut up.
Fine, if he wasn't trying to hit me.
How in any way, shape, or form is this my fault?
I'm gonna tell you right now, if you would have broke it,
Strokes and experienced debilitating
I'd have had your
consequences.
PlayStation.
The conditions are so severe that people have died from
I
exhaustion.
swear to God, I want to
Sorry,
take the top off of there and pour a whole Coke on top of it. That's how pissed off I am. It's not funny!
But you said you wanted to
It's not funny!
Close to reaching your goal. People
I need you to
disregard
leave me
safety
alone.
and keep going on.
I need you to leave me all the way alone for as
Tom
long
Warren's
as
three
possible.
teammates were given strict orders to turn around at 3 p.m. if they had not reached the summit yet. But because of their late start, when 3 p.m. rolled around, they got to the summit.
I'm sorry.
One of the climbers
Don't
was
make
with
me
Tom Warren,
mad.
the commander. And so at 3 p.m., when they were supposed to stop and turn around, he was at the very back of the climbing staff. So he stopped and he yelled at them to tell Jordan and the others to try to get them to stop too so they could go back down. But either they didn't hear him or they just ignored him. Already suffering from frostbite and totally exhausted, he could not go any farther, so he grabbed his radio and he tried to hail them to tell them to stop and come back, but they didn't pick up their radio. So the commander, after waiting for a few minutes,